Hello, Northgate Eagles. It's the counseling team coming from our virtual office, and we have Mr. Dan
Hey,
and Miss Sarah.
hello.
And unfortunately, Miss Jackie could not be with us this morning, but she has contributed to our discussion for today and our lesson for today. So she is with us in spirit. Today's topic that we'd like to discuss with you is courage. I'm sure this is a word that you have probably heard before. We see you all being courageous every day. Courage is being brave as we come across new experiences or difficult situations. And when you do come across new experiences or difficult situations, you may have feelings of fear or anxiety or apprehension, feeling nervous about it. And this is normal. And having courage means overcoming this fear or anxiety. I like to think about courage as a muscle, that we have to use it and practice it to strengthen it. Some of the ways that I see students being courageous at school are taking the bus for the very first time, or for the 50th time if taking the bus feels scary, going to a new school or starting kindergarten, raising your hand in class if you're shy to speak up in class, or even trying a new activity at recess. These are all ways that we see you being courageous at school. And I wanted to share a time in my life when I had to be super courageous. In a few years ago, I decided to teach English in a country called Rwanda, which is in East Africa. So I left behind my family, my friends, and I got on an airplane for many, many hours by myself. And I moved my life to Rwanda. And there were so many unknowns. I thought about, will I make new friends? What will my little house be like that I live in? What will the food be like? Will I be able to learn a new language? And I had a lot of feelings of apprehension. But by using positive self-talk, which we know you all are capable of too, I reminded myself that I would be okay, and I will make new friends, and I'll be able to learn a new language, and reminded myself that courage is a muscle. And so by practicing it, the easier it would become for me to succeed in other challenging situations. So right now, we are all experiencing something new and something challenging, this pandemic of COVID-19. And sometimes we can think of courage as only being used for really big experiences, like moving across the world. But in fact, courage also is about the small things. And right now, I think it's really important to name that during this pandemic, you can use courage every day. And when you get up in the morning, that can be an act of courage. Joining your class meetings when you really don't feel like it is courage. Completing your work when you would rather be playing video games, that's also courage. So courage shows up every day, especially right now during these challenging times when we can't be with friends, we're stuck inside, or we stay inside to keep people safe. But I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Dan, who will talk to you a bit more about courage.
Hi, Eagles. I want to start with I got an email from Miss Jackie with what she was going to share today. She said, as a mom, she's a mom of a little 3-year-old boy, how she sees courage in him. Trying new foods. I don't know if you've been around 3-year-olds, but sometimes trying a new food really takes a big leap. Trying new things and activities that frustrate him requires this word from last week. Remember that 12-letter word? Perseverance. Like when he tries to get his socks on. Like the little guy trying to put his socks on takes a lot of perseverance. Or trying to use chopsticks. Like that's a big deal for her son. He used to be, afraid of things like climbing on things on the playground, and now he climbs on everything. So kind of like Miss Nia was saying, it's this muscle that when you use it, it gets stronger and you can use it more. Miss Jackie says, as an educator, she sees people showing up with courage every day, learning how to use Zoom, learning how to use Teams, and trying to remind ourselves that this isn't going to go on forever. This quarantine will have an end to it. It will start changing. It will, at some point, it will get over with. And that takes some courage to remember those things. She talks about, in her email, to kids being brave, like saying hi to someone new, asking for help, admitting, I feel confused, I'm not understanding. That takes some courage. Fighting those negative thoughts. Like we talked in the Jeopardy game about self-talk. And so we have tools to fight them, but sometimes just to say, okay, there's that thought. I need some courage to use a tool. I need to find a tool, and that's what it is. Courage is something that we all want. We growing up, we watch movies like Black Panther or Star Wars or Harry Potter, The Wizard of Oz. There's all these stories that really teach us that we look up to people when they demonstrate courage. Gosh, talking about those movies reminds me of Northgate. Harry Potter is all over the library and all over Miss Linda's room, and Star Wars is all over something. Oh yeah, it's all over Mr. Brown's t-shirts. Like the Star Wars collection. I was thinking kind of with courage, your mind is really firm, like it's really sure, it's decided this is the right thing and I'm going to do it. And it's firm like really cold ice cream that will never melt because it will just keep doing what it's doing until it gets the result. And just also the last thing here, well, courage can change the world for the better. We've seen in history, we've seen characters like Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela in South Africa. And last week, we learned about Malala in Pakistan, who shows tremendous courage and has changed the world. I have one story of my own from a long, long time ago. I was a teacher in another city in Washington, D.C., and I had eighth graders, and they were graduating. The school year was getting over, like it's coming up for us here. And they had a tradition of going to a place called Hershey Park, which is the Hershey's chocolate place. But they had a roller coaster there, and I don't like roller coasters. And they really wanted me to go on the roller coaster. I needed those several times. I would call them specifically and say, hey, you guys, you need to raise your hands. Like there were a bunch of girls who would never raise their hands. And so I talked to them privately and said, I'm going to start counting. It takes courage, but I want you to raise your hand. And I told the kids all the time, just welcome mistakes, make mistakes. It's okay. That's how you learn. That requires courage. So I was thinking, I've been asking them to do this. I better get myself on that roller coaster. And I was afraid I might vomit, but I didn't. Actually, I won't say I loved the roller coaster ride, but I was very happy that I was able to find the courage to do something that made my students happy. So that was my story. Hey, Miss Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Dam. I'm sorry for some of the noise and that might have interrupted you a little bit there.
No.
We're all working from home and we're all doing these things at home, and my kids were wanting to.
You're muted, Sarah.
Oh dear, there we are. So yes, there
making mistakes. It takes a little courage to make these videos.
It does. Yes, and right now my kids are wanting my attention, so I'm sure you can understand what that's like. So thank you, everybody. I wanted to just show you also a little bit about our website, and when we're thinking about courage, we have been, it's been quite a courageous thing for us as a counselling team to work out how do we try and do things, how can we continue things for us when we're at home, and for all of our students, how can we reach out to you and give you some things to think about when you're at home. So we had to be a bit courageous, and that's why we actually built the counselling website. But it's something we haven't done before. We haven't filmed these kind of videos before. So even your teachers are doing courageous things right now, and that's including us. So before I want to show you a little bit more about the website, and I'm just going to share that now. It's just to encourage you to have a little look at it this week. If you haven't, if this is the first video you've seen, then great, and we're so excited that you're watching it. If you've seen a few of the other ones, you might know where I'm going to show you now. So if you've explored it already. So here we go. So this is the website here. Can you see that, Miss Nia, Mr. Dan? Am I showing?
Yep.
Perfect. So we're on the homepage. The homepage is quite fun because it's got the different things on it. And we can scroll down and you can see Mr. Dan's smiley face and his contact details. And then down the bottom here are a few things that you can just pop in and do if you have a few minutes. And maybe today, maybe you could have a look at one of these things today. There's a wellness challenge on there, which is some fun activity to do at home. There are some great videos on kindness. There are some mind jetties, which you know how to do very well. And also some yoga and some movement stuff with Go Noodle, which is if you're feeling like you need to get your wiggles out. So that's in there. The parent resources area is for your parents and for caregivers and families. Really useful stuff. So maybe you could show after you had a look, maybe you could show an adult what's on there, and they can have a little look. Then we've got, importantly, the two different grade pages. So there's one for K through 2nd, and there's one for 3rd through 5th. It's just loading. The K through 2nd page, and this is how it's going to work every week. So we've got, this was last week, so there was a video with this long word, perseverance. You can go in there and learn a little bit about what's that all about. And then underneath it, there's an activity. And last week I did a read aloud, and there was a worksheet that you can do afterwards. So an activity sheet. So that was how it looked on the K through 2nd website, K through 2nd page. So kindergarten, 1st grade and 2nd grade, that's your page, okay? And each week there's the same thing. There's a video from us and then an activity to do, okay? I'm just gonna hop in and quickly just show the 3rd through 5th. If you're in 3rd grade, 4th grade or 5th grade, it looks very similar, but some different activities, as you might expect. So we got a video, and then this was the activity last week. It's actually another video to watch and some activities to do, and something called Class Dojo. So this is fun. So that's those pages. The library I want to show you because there's new stuff on there every week. And here you'll find there are read alouds from different people. Look, there's Michelle Obama. She did one earlier this week with her 2 dogs, who are really cute. So I recommend that one. There's Sonny and Bo. And you might recognize that man who looks a little bit different than when he did in the films, but that's Daniel Radcliffe, who is the actor of Harry Potter. And he actually reads Harry Potter. He reads the first Harry Potter. So if you feel like relaxing, maybe laying back on a couch or on a bed and listening to a story, there might be a story in there for you. And then finally, the 2nd step pages are something your teachers might direct you to. You can watch the 2nd step if you'd like to, and you can find your grade on there. And then the last page is Mr. Dan's Corner, which has lots of fun stuff with some teachers that you might recognize. So I'd recommend going and exploring there if you've got a spare moment. So there's lots to do, lots of fun stuff to learn, and it's all in, and the What's New page has a few new things as well, and a little bit more about coronavirus too, if you're wondering about that or thinking about that. So there we are. I just wanted to share those with you. And to bring it into what we've been talking about today, I think I just want to say, to wrap up, that like Ms. Nia mentioned when we started, is that we know you can all be courageous. We've seen you do it. We've seen you do it around school every day. And it is the small things that make us feel strong. And each time we learn and we are courageous in a small thing, we're kind of building that courageous muscle that Miss Nia was talking about. So that when we reach a really big challenge, like maybe going to a new school, which some of you may be preparing for right now, or even going to a new grade, that all those small things help us feel that we got it. We can do this. And I know you can do this. We know you can do this. I'm going to put an activity on for you to do, just like I just showed on the website. So you can scroll down now and have a look at the activity for you. For kindergarten through second grade, it's going to be this lovely story called Jabari Jumps. And you can see from this picture, he may be about to be a little bit brave and a bit courageous. And there's a really fun activity for third through fifth grade too. So thank you for watching. We love talking to you. We miss you all very much. And we're going to think about what you can do to be courageous this week. And just one small little thing. We know you can do it. Okay?
And feel free to share it with us.
Yes.
Email or phone.
We'd love it. Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Our voicemail's on the website, so you can call it and we'll hear your message.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Bye.